Hello and welcome. It is the 21st day of April 2019. My name is Derek. All bets trades of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. And I'll talk about the risk reward more towards the end of the video for the trading strategy that I'm talking about. In today's video, though, we'll take a look at a whole bunch of coins, about six, seven, eight, really quickly though. I'm going to go over what I did yesterday. This chart in here was on a spreadsheet, with the orange and yellow line representing one being that of Bitcoin Cash since August the 1st or on its inception date, and then the other being DGB from that same point on. The blue line represents just trading these two coins back and forth, thus overperforming significantly those two coins. Well, I overperformed that again because I added one extra feature, and I'll show you what it did. I'll explain that feature, and there really is one more that I needed to look at as well. That will be as I move forward. So within each one of these coins, I'll explain what I'm doing on the trade and things like Bitcoin. It's the base currency. When Bitcoin is high, then I'll sell it more often for things like gold and silver and other things. And when it's not as high, I won't do as much of it. As far as its chart, I've been talking a lot about how this has been really grinding within the 18 average of highs. This is still day number 5 of it. The price action yesterday didn't really make a new high, and today obviously not the same. Well, that'll be enough for the 18 average of highs to start to flatten. Thus, working towards stage number 1, band flatten out. It's still got a long ways to go. The 18 average of lows is in at 5100, so it still would need a little bit for this to start to flatten out too. Still above this level of support, still below this level of resistance. It's going to break one side or another, obviously. I don't know how long it's going to take. And on the weekly chart, of course, it's either have to make a move up to its previous area where it came from, and its correctionary phase is a little bit lower near the previous line lower. Not the 4800 line, but the 4100 line. That's where correctionary moves would occur around. And a lot of these coins are down today. Bitcoin's doing really well compared to all of them, pretty much. Most of them. And on Litecoin, it's actually having a pretty bad day compared to a lot of other coins, especially for a high cap coin, which now, last week it was down 9.2%, down 9.8% this week. And last week before that, it was up 51%. Within its 18 average, its upper end of as such is at the Fibonacci line at 63. The lower one is in at 51. I guess the only recent trade I did on this is buying silver last week. Not much, but a little bit. On the daily time frame, the supporting this 18 average lows has been broken. Stage 1 band flatten out has been in play for a little bit. Stage number 2 is establishing a level of support. So if it breaks this level here, when this isn't establishing, it would have to be at least, I would think, to around 68 area. And I would presume if it's going to establish it, it would be a pierce below the 63. It still hasn't broken down below this level of key support. The hour is not going to do justice for what I'm looking for. Here we have among the 4 hour. Maybe this could be another part of a key bottom that's already established in here. If you see weakness around here or major continuation capitulation at this point, then obviously we know support won't be in. And you still have to be a little cautious as this market comes up and retraces into this area where previous support was and where the 18 would be falling down towards as levels of resistance. Let's move on to the cross against BTC. And it has broken down below this level of support at the 151, 152 handle and is now in this little key area. As its weekly chart is concerned, it's correcting within the 18. It is still well overextended, meaning pushing below there isn't the worst or bearish of things. But what is extremely important, I would have to feel, for this run not to be a failed one and to do what I would expect it to do, and that's test the upper end of this and even potentially higher than that, is to establish a higher low. Now in here, it technically did create a higher low to this point, so I'd be thinking that the even one handle, the 100-to-1 ratio, is the most lowest, deepest, ultimate hold area. And for my trade on Litecoin against Bitcoin, my last trade was a buy at 152. And and it is still too low, or not, excuse me, not low enough yet to be buying at 140. I'll be looking to be buying in the low to mid 130s if it goes there. And because 152 is my last buy, I'm not going to be selling it until it breaks 170. Let's move on next to LITECOIN, which I'm trading against Bitcoin. My last trade was where we stand right now, a hair above 1,000. So I'm going to be looking to be buy if it comes into this previous area in here around 700, and be selling up in this area up in here at this previous high next. But as I look at it in here, all of these moves in here, that's the free profit along the way. Well, not free profit, but profit you expect within the mechanism of the trade. And if it goes from here up to there, back to here, I'm at the same position as far as its price value, but I've gained a lot of extra coins via that of profit. Now here we have Dash falling down, and one of the things I'm going to be talking about is trading two altcoins together, and really three things. One, I showed within the black screen before, you got the ratio of two coins and just buy and sell that, and that's fine and dandy. But if you actually trade them against Bitcoin as well, then that would do better. And I'll explain what I mean by that as simple as I can. One coin I'm trading together is Dash and Theta. Now Dash has been on a nice little run making these higher highs and higher lows, but all of a sudden now we can see that that's coming to a change as we're seeing head and shoulders-ish like formation. We were at the 290 handle, now back down to 226. So it's had a decent decline, but you know what? It's not that much of a decline. Within Theta, it too is in wild moves. It also is showing that it may decline even further. But this high happened a lot earlier than the Dash one did. However, the ratio, for me, it's not in a trade. Both of them are down together. My last trade on the ratio, dividing the two together, was 1,016. Now it's like 1,050, so it's about the same. So when coins go up, down, or whatever, that's basically going to happen in two ways, in all these ways. Well, on both coins, well, we'll take about this one. They both go down together. Because I have extra Bitcoin, I have the choice. If they both have significant down moves lower, I'll just buy both coins. But I'm also looking to, if they have high rises, to sell both coins. If I got two altcoins that are up like 300% and 400% up respectively, I'm going to have to be selling those for Bitcoin, looking to buy them back later. And then if one coin has a specific mood with one coin relatively going somewhere sideways, the other one either having a big up or a big down move, then that individual one, well, what would happen is if, say, this went up and this went sideways, well, I'd be making two trades. I'd be selling this, the one that would be going up, I'd be selling for cash. Or excuse me, not. I'll get into that later. I'd be selling that for Bitcoin to buy back against Bitcoin cheaper, and I'd also be selling it against the other altcoin that's doing nothing in price or just breaking even, because the ratio would be in favor of such as well. And then the polar opposite, if say it's a down move and a sideways move, I'd be buying this with Bitcoin to increase my inventory, and I would be buying this, selling the coin that's going flat. Let's move on to DGB. It was at 240, it then went to 400, and now it's back to 240. It's at the key area where it came from last. I'd say it's a relatively decent area for support, but whether it will be or not, again, time will tell. If it's not, maybe this goes to 160. If it is, maybe we go back above 340 again. And I'm trading this against several different coins. Against that of Litecoin. I last sold with the ratio at 6,300. It's at 5,900 now. So if it goes down lower more, I will sell this coin for Litecoin. But this is going down. So this is getting close to the point where I probably wouldn't buy additional Litecoin just because my ownership is so high. But I'd probably just add a little bit of DGB into the cross pairing. And that would be really about it. But still, even just at 240, I'd probably want another 20%. But it's getting close. The GRS coin, which was up in here to 2,000 now, or 20,000, now down to 8. in this area here. If it's going to go a little bit deeper, maybe it's going to go into the 6,000s. You expect wild moves regardless, as it is anyway. And right now, this thing is just not really moving much at all against DGB. That if there's a leg lower and there's a leg lower with DGB, I'll buy both of them. But I'd have to see DGB again go down like 30, 40 points, and this go down at least 2,000 plus. Now on to Komodo, which I'm trading against Litecoin. Last trade for me was at 71. This is still many days later, still at a ratio of 7 to 1. I'll buy just back. If this goes down into like the 16s up to 17, then I'd probably just dab in a little bit extra if all the coins are going down together. Otherwise, just keep trading the ratio normally. Namecoin, I'm actually trading against Bitcoin, and there's a reason I haven't talked much about it, really. Yeah, it's not doing much. I haven't traded that in a while. That should not come as a surprise. TTC, I put a buy order in on a Fibonacci downside from this low to this high. I'm still a long, long ways ago. But you know what? If it goes down towards there, it might be a fun little trading tool. Next up, a Vercoin. And I'm trading this against Bitcoin. My last trade was buy 11,000, so it's getting very close for this next buy to come in. It was a sell at 15 or 16, and then buy at 11. And now I'm either waiting for it to come buy in here, roughly around this 8 number, and it's getting closer. And finally, let's go over Bitcoin Cash, which I have replaced with NLC2. I talked about that in yesterday's video. Unhappy with how one of the baseball games played out, and that was, of course, there were a few other things even before then. But yesterday's video will explain that. But in this one here, just do this little sideways action. Trading this against that of DGB, a 5-digit into the little over 20,000 ratio. 22,442 when I calculated it this morning. And when I just start trading this, there hasn't even been a trade back and forth yet because I started this less than 24 hours ago. 22,835 was the start. So unless this goes above 27.4 or below 18.7, I'm not going to trade it. And what I did is I put up with this chart earlier, which showed those two coins, Bitcoin Cash and DGB, and how well just trading the two coins back and forth together would do. When you're going to get 3 times more of this coin, 4 times or 5 times more of the other coin, you're going to outperform the market. There just isn't any other way. But this here was just taking the ratio of the two coins, and that was it. It was completely ignoring what the price of the two coins were against Bitcoin, meaning when they were at these peaks in here on these upper lines, opportunity to sell against Bitcoin, and then we could see as it's going down every single time, opportunities to buy back as well. So what I did in playing the game was I would put a number here so I could see data. And I've already made the trades in here. This is what my value of my portfolio would be. The DGB ownership, the Bitcoin Cash ownership, the ownership of Bitcoin that you have, the amount of DGB that were traded to Bitcoin, and the amount of Bitcoin Cash that were traded to Bitcoin. And there are numbers that were traded because I've already done this exercise. But by simply putting a number in here, that's what would reveal to me what the DGB price was. And at the start, DGB was 707 Satoshi. And Bitcoin Cash was 1608 on the decimal on its first day. This is August the 1st. The ratio then, pretty much the exact same now, 22,744. And then I put a red one in here because that means that was a trade on the ratio. What I would do here, like I did before, just the manual way you would do it, is I sold 1.2 Bitcoin for 0.2958 and 21,000. This is half the number. Well, the reason why was because 0.6 of it was traded against the ratio for 21,200 DGB, and 0.6 of it was traded against Bitcoin at this 24 ratio. And how I would do this is the strategy for the buyback against Bitcoin was wait for at least half off, then buy back what you sold, meaning you would buy back 0.6 And then if you get a decent decrease below that, well, then buy with what you got left. And that's a strategy for both coins. So on the next day, the ratio fell to 21. In this case, the amounts here were the same. So 17,000 DGB sold for 0.805, and I originally would have sold zero point 0.6, gaining zero point 0.2, and then gaining 21.2, thus selling 17, or a gain of over 4,000, and so on and so forth throughout the days. Early on, there were a lot of busy moments, and again, when there was red, there was a trade on that of the ratio. And then the rest of the numbers all the way through. I even added bolds in here when there were just trades against Bitcoin, buybacks or sells. Maybe they're gone. Maybe it shouldn't be. Yes, right here. So I ended up buying this at 0.10. I ended up selling it at 0.1812. And maybe I missed. I was looking at here. But any place where they would have been bold, they would have either been bought or sold. So there's a buy here at 0.0495, buy at 0.0248, a buy at 238, so on and so forth. Now, as far as how this ended up working out on this, I've already added it on here, and yes, it most certainly overperforms that blue line, as well as all the other ones. So let's enter in its results. And it's a green line that outperformed and outdid that of the blue one. And pretty much the exact same pattern. But when we look back at this, let's just quickly look to see what the US dollar, and I haven't done this exercise yet, but I know what the results will vaguely be. What was the value of your portfolio back in December, January of 2017-18 compared to now? Well, let's go take a look at this raw data and find that time frame. So we're looking at, and you can't see the numbers on here. This is day like 150 or row 150. So 150 to 175 are the key sweep prices. Let's take a look at the results again.